Hello to everybody, and I'm happy to be back and doing a video for you guys. I'm pretty sure it's fairly well needed, especially looking at the sort of flash crash that we got twice over the past few sessions on BTC. We're going to analyze, of course, BTC. We're going to see at the prices of Ethereum since my community on YouTube voted for it. I'm also going to have a quick look at Luna, which of course has been the winner for another time in the votes, in this week's votes from the QIC community. So we've looked at some scenarios last time that they seem to play out fairly well. For now, markets are bearish, and they might remain to be bearish for the foreseeable future, unless if, of course, some invalidations or some validations contrary are going to take place. We are going to see what those are in a minute. But before we do go ahead, do not forget that none of this is investment advice, and you should always do, of course, your own research before making any decisions in trading. This is educational, and I'm happy to receive a lot of comments that suggest that you guys are happy with the content. And in case you do want more regular updates, you can always find me on Telegram, or just send me an email. And by about section, you can find my information there for accessing my Telegram premium group. So let's jump to the charts and have a quick look. BTC USD, Ethereum USD, and also Luna. Let's see what's really happening and where are we potentially headed. So I want to start off with where we've left off BTC last time. The fact that, of course, guidelines are not more important than rules. So the fact that we didn't have an interaction here keeps this move to the downside impulsive, which means that this is our main scenario. And we're looking for a main scenario as a running flat over here, which means that wave A is here, wave B is here, and we're expecting 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Running flat because, well, for now we have not really broken past levels that indicate that we might get an expanded variation. It's too early. So what we are going to do, when I put a Fibonacci from the bottom all the way up to the fifth wave up here, which is where wave A of this ABC flat starts, right? And we are for a running flat because running flats are, wave C is truncated, right? So truncations are valid 70% when they reach 70% of that move. So we are expecting wave 5, guys, to go anywhere below 36K, okay? And that can go down to, well, I would probably say if it's going to be a running variation, then to 99% pretty much of that. So 29.50 or whatever. That will still be a running flat. Anything below 105%, which makes the 99 and 105 area a bit disputable, but anything below 105 of this is going to be an expanded variation. But it's very unlikely that we're going to see only one wave going down there as wave 5, right? It's highly unlikely. So for a expanded flat, most likely we're just in wave 1 here. We're going to get 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5. So which means we're going to go to much lower lows. Now, for the time being, as we are still looking at this structure of a 5-wave move, and we'll have to assume that this is the a potential continuation down to around 36K. That is the main. In case we fall lower than that, we can start increasing the probabilities of that being expanded flat. Now, don't forget also that it would be no surprise if from here we start correcting higher, okay? Or even, not just correcting higher, like correcting much higher. And why? It's because this is where actually we're bringing in the alternative scenarios, because anything that does not go below 36 is not a flat, okay? That's the one thing to remember. Now, the fact that we have moved below wave 3 here clearly means that theoretically our wave 5 is done, right? But what we're looking at is the structure, which seems to suggest that this is 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, right? So maybe another wave down is going to take place and then continues to the upside. But anyway, let's just not go into the details about how this can go down. Let's just look at the alternative, which is wave 5 might be done, okay? We might get one leg down in the short term or not, but We can also assume that this is 1, 2, this is 3 in here, then 4 and 5. So literally can be done theoretically. What would this mean? Is that we're going to move higher. Okay, we're going to move higher, and you might say, but how higher? Well, if that happened, guys, this is very likely going to be an ABC. Okay, which means our wave A is going to be here. We're going to get a wave B up to anywhere between 49 and 58K. I know it's a big zone, but it's what it is according to the guidelines. We are, if we start correcting, we are going to have more clarity about the projection of these levels, since we're going to get the fifth, we're going to get a 5-wave move up first, right? So the moment we get the 5-wave and the correction, we can start projecting more accurately about where this can end. But until then, it's between 38 and 79%. So that's going to be between the 50K and the 59K, okay? Which means when I get ABC, yeah? And this is going to be a wave Y, which means we'll go back to this being W, this being X, and this being Y, right? So this is the closest alternative. Now, other alternatives, are there? Of course they are. What is the closest one? Well, to be fair, well, we're not still completely discounting the ending diagonal, which means this is still an ABC, right? What would this mean is that this is wave 1, this is wave 2, when I get wave 3, when I get wave 4, when I get wave 5, okay? But it's a bit unlikely according to the guidelines. All the rules are respected. Because why? Because ended diagonals, corrections, especially if this is 1 and 2, right? And then we're going to get 3. Usually the corrections go up to around 62, 79% as well, right? Usually 79, they are quite deep. But in this case, we didn't even go to the 50. It doesn't invalidate it, but it adds to, no, it actually takes away from the probability, okay? But it's there. Still, ended diagonal could be the case. Now, another one, yes. This can be W, sorry, because we're talking about the WX, and we might get a triangle over here in wave Y, right? But as I said to you many times before in the past, I don't like how, because if that was the A, you know, obviously I didn't like how this would be a B, C, D, and E, because it would end way above the 50% of this move, so it just wouldn't be really looking as a much likely scenario. But if we are going to take into account that the one wave of a triangle can be complex, usually it's C or D, but sometimes also A, then it could be a case that it might end up being a W, X, and Y, right? Which means this is ABC, this is ABC, and we're going to get something like ABC. And then we are going to get another ABC, 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 and that is going actually to make a legit triangle and much more respected if, of course, I repeat, complex wave A of a triangle takes place. That would most probably take us down to around the 3380, because it's going to be 80% of this correction, and triangles usually do correct the 80%, which means only when we start moving up and we see prices stopping after the correction, we're going to really have more clues on whether this is going to be simply, you know, a triangle or a running flat. Because if it's a running flat, it will actually end around the same area. So we'll have to remember these two. Running flat and triangle with a complex wave A are going to be known, well, after a while, after a few weeks, maybe even, I don't know, maybe should I say a month or two, we are going to find out then. Now, anything else that comes to mind where you can know these, if it's going to be a Y, then it would be, okay, well, if we're talking about a triangle, it would also be potentially that our wave 3 is up here. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I never like this. That would be like probably A, that would be B, and that would be C. Yeah. So although I never like this as an ABC, that means that they will be the first wave of our triangle, that will be the second, then we'll get the third, the fourth, and the fifth. That is also something that is possible, okay? But not really, you know, close in my books. I mean, as a prioritized scenario. Now, I'm gonna go a little bit closer and show you the short term, and from there, I'm gonna switch to Ethereum. I want to show you the short term, which to me, for now at least, is... Oops, 1 second. No alert here. Thank you very much. Well, there is two scenarios, right, in the short term. One is that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, as we saw for a running flat. The second one would be that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's going to be 1, then we get 2, 3, 4, and 5. So in the very short time, I believe we're going to get wave 4 and then wave 5. Okay, this is the blue one. And then the minute is going to end the minor. Okay, if it's a running flat, we're going to end very soon. But don't forget that we need to go at least 36, right? So it's not going to be very soon, is it? So this is the trick here. If we start moving higher fairly soon, it means that very likely to be an expanding diagonal, because our wave 1 is not going to reach the target for to be a running flat, okay, which means that we can correct anytime we want and then continue lower down for wave 3, 4, and 5. But meanwhile, as we move up, we need to also take into account a potential ABC, okay, which means W, X, and Y, which means that we're going into back thinking about the scenario that it might also be triangle and wave Y, which means we have a W, X, and Y as a wave A in a triangle. So things are what they are, right? But either way, I really do think that's why this I have as 1, that we're going to end this move to the downside fairly soon, and then we start correcting higher, okay? I do not personally think we're going to go above this channel, okay, in the medium term even, okay? And this is going to be some sort of validation to me as well, for me, that as long as we remain below this channel and you can drag it all the way down, we are bearish, okay? Now, if this is my wave 1 and we're going to end wave 2 fairly soon, maybe at 40K, let's say, or even lower, I think actually we're going to go around 38.5, but let's just do the 40. Then, well, I'm looking at 45.30 and 49.25. And since the 50 psychological level, unlikely to go above that as well if we're going to get a wave 2. But the truth is this, okay, in a contrarian view, wave 2, usually according to guidelines, is a wave that corrects quite a bit. So we can see it at 62, okay? But I think we'll probably see that if we go down to a 38.5, which I think is the level that I'm looking for this move to end. So short-term upside from here, it's quite a good opportunity, to be fair. So we might get up to, like, you know, 51.60, 55.34, 48.13, the lower, the better for the downside. The higher, the more the chances of this turning into something else, okay? Because don't forget, we might still be doing, and then I'm bringing another scenario in, A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or C. It might be a triangle, an expanded flat here, right? So you've got A, here you've got A, B, and C, yeah, and then we're gonna get another wave to the downside. That will bring a huge upside, okay, to around the previous high, but not above it, unless of course it would become an expanded flat variation in wave Y of W, X, and Y in a 4. And that's, my friends, all there is for BTC. Now let's quickly jump on Ethereum. You remember we talked, and I talked about a potential diagonal here, right? And I didn't like the shape that it looked and all that stuff. And I thought it would most likely make sense if it was an open variation. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not much fan about this scenario. It's just that I'm not a fan of the alternative one either. That's why this is still here. And because it still gets, you know, get us to the next level in terms of the validation and respect the diagonal here, because we are valid for an open diagonal as long as our wave 4 remains above wave 2. So as long as we're above 2660, this still is a case for that to be an ending diagonal. Okay. Now the other scenario as well, it would be a case, hold on, very similar to BTC. You know, this is like, but we don't have a expanded flat here. It would be a case that this is ABC, and we would see another ABC down, but it will be obviously much more, it will be much more downside. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But the problem is with this, and that's why it's not in my repertorium any longer. That doesn't really look like a 5-way move to the downside. I mean, we do have this labeled as a leading diagonal, but then, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which means, you know, literally, if we're gonna break that low, then that becomes a very possible scenario that we're down here, and this is gonna become an ABC. Yes, indeed. But by the looks of it, and so far, because Ethereum doesn't look as bearish, you know, I mean, Bitcoin is down here, Ethereum is up here, you know, it's a bit more bullish. That's why I'm thinking that another leg up is likely to come in. Now, I'm even 50-50 here, to be honest, because of how not nice this looks. It's not like it doesn't have the right move, the right look, because the right look is not anything that has an open diagonal. It doesn't have the right look. Okay, that's the reality. Elliott wave traders know that, and analysts. But what I'm saying is here, that if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, guys, and this is going to be a correction, then it's not just going to stop here. It's very likely to go down all the way to 2400s and perhaps down to 61.8. Now, to 62, which is 2500s. Again, there you go. So you got that there. But the problem is this, okay? If we take this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which means we're finished up here, who tells you that that's not my fifth wave? 4 and 5. Do you know what I mean? And this is leading diagonal, and the 2, 3, 4, 5. We get A, then we get B, and then we get C down to 1K or so. You know, who tells you that? No one. So if we bring this 5 into the table, and we are bringing it actually, it is just, to me, it is an alternative, because I don't think, and for any coin, that this is the wave 1 right at the top, where we're expecting a bear market to come soon either way, right? If we're not into it, and then you want to see wave 3, 4, and 5, and then that means that this run will last another year and a half or something. This is what really has me thinking that it's highly unlikely. So if you want that in, then that's the 5 and that's the 4, which means we're moving down a lot much lower to what my initial and main count supports, that this is an ending diagonal. Okay, you can also see the short term as well here. We've got an ABC, which is still respecting the ending diagonal, the rules for ending diagonals. So, which was a simple zigzag. So I'm expecting a 4 and a 5. Okay, and that will be the end of it. And then we'll continue higher for an ending diagonal, while BTC can still do a high and a low. Ethereum can do a high, a correction, and a high. So I do believe that Ethereum is going to perform much better, as it does actually pretty much in every cycle, than Bitcoin and Luna. I've had a lot of people giving me, well, comments about this triangle. And I want to tell everyone here listening today that triangles are not just symmetrical, descending, ascending, you know, these wedge type, it's a variation of the ascending and descending triangles. Okay, just so you guys know, either not, you don't see them in books because books are very old, but it's a variation of the ascending and descending. This is of the ascending triangle, right? It's not just diagonals. Triangles are diagonals actually, to be honest. So anyway, what we're looking here is that a continuation from where we left last time, right? We've had a triangle over here. We've had the ABC. We've had the ABC. We've had the ABC and ABC, and it looks like one more up. And it's very similar to Ethereum. I am not such a fan of how this looks so far, but you know, if we do another leg down, it will look a bit more of an open diagonal, and it would really we're gonna have a cluster of the open diagonal trend line with the base channel, okay, that connects waves 2, 4, and 3, actually acceleration channel. 1, 2, yeah, 2, 4. So what I'm expecting is another leg up once this correction is in. This correction will be valid up to down to 52. Okay, so yes, I expect this to do one more leg down, as with BTC and Ethereum, around 65 perhaps. Who knows, maybe lower, around 60. Maybe we're going to do a false break before outside this channel, and then continue higher to up 104 is going to be the level where theoretically this move is going to end. Now, don't forget that I'm not as bullish, okay? And I told you that in Ethereum. Another alternative would be that this is not an ending diagonal, but it's a leading diagonal, and we're going to get 3, 4, and 5. But as you well know, continuing this alt season or the cycle for another year and a half or so, I find it very highly improbable, okay? And this is just my opinion. Of course, if that changes, it's going to be seen in the chart, and you will know about it when the data is there, okay? So until then, this is one more leg up and we're done, okay? Now, I was looking at something else as well. I was looking at this, which looks a bit more of a crazy situation here, but for all of this wave from 4 down here to be an ending diagonal. But I do not like this. I don't even know why it's here, just because I want to have an alternative or something, perhaps. But the alternative is that, you know, you've got a leading diagonal, not an ending, but they are very close to one another. It's like an alternative, yes, but it's still, the main scenario is the same. It's like a variation of the main. So anyway, and I'm bringing this because there is a lot of dispute, okay, of what? This is a wave 2, ABC. This is 1 and 2, okay, and 3. But the problem is that the duration of wave 3 versus to wave 1 and then wave 5, it just does not make sense, okay? And then you might ask, well, does all the rest make sense? In the reality is actually, yes, it does. All of the rest makes sense, because you've got the volumes also confirming that as well, you know, pretty much. But I just don't like these volumes over here, okay? And that is the reason I have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, because the volumes increase a little bit here, which is usually indicative of a potential beginning of a diagonal pattern, okay? But over here you can still see that, you know, we are correcting, okay? And that's why my initial scenario there, yeah, it's that, okay? That is a triangle, and where we change from the triangle to the impulse or to the motive wave, to be more exact and accurate, this is where you get your volumes increasing. Okay, so that is the reason it's there. So that's gonna be all for this video, guys. I hope it's been helpful. It has been helpful so far. Leave your comments if you have any, and back them up. If you you know, if you got any like questions and all that stuff, because sometimes it's hard to understand and visualize what you guys you know, trying to say in words. So do your best so you can get a response, okay? I hope you all had a good trading week so far. Don't forget, it's Friday today. We've had the jobs number in the US coming out bad. It's not a good sign, of course, because stocks are moving lower. Weekend is coming, so institutions maybe are going to make this happen, do another leg down, and then Asia might start tomorrow or overnight to pick up wherever they've left with a bit of short-term upside. It might continue into next week, or maybe we're going to see another leg down Monday, Tuesday, and then continue higher. Okay, so that's all. Take care.